Hey, Frank Zaylor here. I want to talk about some stuff that happened Friday night. Took a couple of cars out. It had rained that day, and anybody who knows a lot about tracks knows the track is green because the rain has washed off anything there was. Um, we get to the track. We got two cars with us, and I'll start with the first car. I walk the track, and I number the track in my own mind. There's about a 4. Which means it wasn't horrible, but it doesn't mean it was anywhere near good. We had a high-powered Honda, or it was supposed to be a high-powered Honda, but it had street tires, street axles, and a turbo motor. I don't really do that, but I was there for support and make sure nothing happened that I could control. Nobody got hurt or nothing. As predicted, the car spun pretty much the entire time. The kid got 3 passes or 4 passes, and he got some seat time. And he learned a couple things, hopefully. He didn't really improve that much. He didn't really improve on mile per hour. But he got kind of the feel of it. And that's okay. He's going to do some upgrades to it, put some slicks on it or whatever he needs to do on it. But he didn't get any trouble anywhere going down the track. So that's that. He was pretty happy. The second car is a little different story. When we got there, the track was okay. Off the trailer, it went a 1209 with 25 or 30 pounds of air in the tires, in the rear tires. The second pass after we let air out of the tires, it went a 1202 because it was able to hook a little bit better. Now this is where it gets interesting. A dragster leaves and it spills fuel all the way down the quarter mile. I am a person that says, fuck it, light it, let it burn, let it do its thing, but I understand, you gotta be careful you don't cause a forest fire or something. Anyways, they went ahead and they prepped the track, and it was already late enough where I started feeling humidity come up. And when you go to the track hundreds of times, you know what's going to happen. The next thing that's going to happen is the dew's going to come in. They sprayed the track. I'm a firm believer, and there's a lot of guys that are firm believer that you don't spray a cold track. Now these guys are the pros. They run the track. It's whatever they want to do. I would have just laid rubber down and just let it go. What I'm saying is that sometimes you go to the track with a plan, and the plan is I want to do this, 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 and this. And when it doesn't go that way, shit gets fucked up and you get kind of pissed off. I've seen top sportsmen and top dragsters, hell, I've seen 9-second cars go out, leave, get sideways, pull back around, pull it back on the trailer, and leave. It's not the night to go out there with that car. And I've been there. This is a little slower car. 1190 12.0 car with big slicks on it that we should have no problem hooking. The first 2 passes were very consistent. The mile per hour was consistent. After that, the track started to go away. The dew came in, and because I'm sort of helping with guys that are, I don't want to say they're novices, but they don't have 500, 600, 700 passes under their belt. They're still learning. I didn't think it was going to hurt the car to go down the track with a little dew on it at their speed. The last pass of the night, I got bit. He left. He pulled the left front tire. The car got sideways. I was scared to death. And he went ahead and drove through it, straightened it out, and made the pass. If I was his crew chief, I would have chewed his ass and said, don't do that. He said he had to stay in it to get out of the guardrail. But you got to trust your driver. If he says that he needed to stay in it to stay out of the guardrail, then that's what he needed to do. But when you have a bad pass, you abort. You're on a test and tune. It doesn't matter. Abort, lift off the gas, coast down the track. There's no harm, no foul. There was problems with us and not just the track. One of the problems was when we pulled up to the staging lanes, the car wouldn't start. And that is like one of my ultimate pet peeves is when a car won't start, is because the battery should be charged and so on and so forth. Well, the motor's got enough compression where it needs a good starter and it needs good amperage to keep it started. It's over 11 to 1. A second battery would be great, but that wasn't the time or the place to talk about a second battery. The second thing is also putting a switch in to where you can spin the motor over and crank it up. And the owner of the car actually had one, but didn't have time to put it in yet. These are things that bite you. We also found out another thing. Our slicks are dry rotted, or their slicks are dry rotted. It's time for another pair of slicks, and slicks are expensive. What would have been ideal, and this is what was happening in my mind, if it had ran a 1202, a 1209, and say a 1205, the track was good, and the car was starting, and the slicks were okay, then we can start moving stuff. We can move ship points, we can move timing, we can move jets and see an improvement. But because we couldn't get back-to-back passes, we couldn't do it. Okay? Now, the car was going away. It went from 110 to 108. And I talked to the owner and I said, listen, when something drops off that fast, something's wrong. I was worried about the motor. I listened to the motor was fine. I pulled the stick tube. The fluid was super hot. The tranny lines were super hot. We didn't have a big enough cooler on it. And when you have a real hot tranny fluid, you guys know what happens. Starts to slip and it can burn easy. So they're going to go back and put a gigantic cooler on it, which they need to do. That's fine. Maybe a different pan. But one of the things that really need to be put on it is a trans temp gauge so we can see where we're at. When you look at other guys, or they look at other guys and they say, well, they don't have these problems. Well, we've been doing it in a certain car for over 3 years. We went through those problems. They just weren't there. Fixing little stuff and so on and so forth. And then you can't count on having a perfect track. So, the moral of Friday night is that we were on a bad track. We weren't completely ready to run the car. The car was able to run, but there was stuff we could have done to make sure that it was better equipped to run that night. The good thing that came out of it is the driver got a lot of passes in the car, got a lot of seat time in the car. The more seat time, the more comfortable you're going to be. Okay? We got stuff we need to fix. When I asked my driver where'd he shift, and he'll actually tell me, he'll go, I overshifted 200 RPMs, or I undershifted 200 RPMs. That's how in tuned he is to the shifter. The driver of this car, I said, where'd you shift? He goes, I wasn't sure, so on and so forth. So we need to train him to, as the shifts come up, to look and see where he shifted. If we can do everything the same time, every single time, We can make improvements. We can change it. Okay? A bad night out at the track without nobody getting hurt is still a better time than sitting at home doing nothing. He did get seat time. The moral of the story is, but we didn't get shit done at the track. But we got a little done at the track. Okay? We got some seat time. We got a little bit of information. And we got stuff that we need to do to make this a more competitive, more consistent car. Remember, a bad night at the track is still a better night than at home. As long as nobody gets hurt or nothing gets hurt. But that's it. That's it for Frank. See you later.